Hey guys, Gather the Magic back again, and this is part 2 of the Splinterlands Card Market Watch for January 18th, 2026. So we're going to do a deep dive into the card market. We're going to look at prices, we're going to look at how many cards are on the market, and just see if there's any deals out there that I think you should be aware of. So starting as we always do with Alpha, you can see here the first thing I notice is we only have a few cards under 50 cents. So then we're going to start getting 50 cents and higher for Alpha Commons. A few months ago, you always had a few cards that were like 18, 20, 25 cents a piece. These cards are trending higher. So you can see here 38 cents is your cheapest. Most expensive, $2 for the Pirate Captain. Not very many of these on the market, and considering these are commons, you would think these numbers would be a lot higher. Not the case with Alpha. Rares for a while were $1, $1.20 for your lowest rares. Now you're looking at $1.65, $1.80 for your cheapest Alpha Rare. All the way up to $4.50 for Zintar. Next for the Epics, you're looking at $3.90 up to $31.94 for Mischievous Mermaid. And then finally the legendaries. First thing I noticed is only 5 of the 9 legendaries even have a single copy for sale. They range anywhere from $49 to $69, and you can see not many copies of these on the market. And then next, if we go to the gold foils, so what was it? We had some gold foils, $8, $10 a piece a month or so ago. Currently now the new floor is $20, so this seems about right to me. If you get about $25 and up for common gold alpha, that seems about right. All the way up to $150 for Spineback Turtle. Next for the rares, $48 for Stone Golem, up to $1,000 for Haunted Spirit. 20 in this rarity slot. You can see there's only, 11 of the 20 even for sale. Your epics, you've got 10 cards in the set for epic slot. All 10 are available here. $288 up to $1,200. And then finally your legendaries are 5 gold alpha legendaries for sale, 5 different cards. $9.50 for Lord of Darkness, $19.50 for Spirit of the Forest, $3,000 for Angel of Light, and then $9,000 for Selenia Sky and the Gold Dragon. Okay, let's move to Alpha promos. So these are the only promos available from Alpha. We went through the prices in part 1, but you can see here 15 copies of the common starting at $4.60, 6 copies of the rare starting at $11, only 1 epic for $50, and only 1 rare gold for $300. All right, that's it for alpha. Now for beta, let's look just at the core and reward cards, starting with the commons. 5 cents is the floor, all the way up to most expensive, $2.05 for the animated corpse. So those are your commons and rewards. Next for your rares, now you're getting 25 cents are your cheapest rares. All the way to most expensive being $16 for Naga Windmaster. This is overpriced, but it is a multiple BCX. If you look at individual copies, they're about 50 cents a piece. That's about right for this card. So no individual cards for sale. Otherwise this would be, somewhere right in here, 50-cent card. Looking at the Archons, as you can see here, only 4 of the 5 Archons, so there aren't any of the Earth Splinter. It's ranging from 30 cents to $3.50. Next are your Epics, starting just about $1 a piece, all the way up to $100 for Talia. This one is a level 5, so it's halfway max, 23 copies out of the 46. You're looking at $4.35 a piece. I think that's about right for an Archon. Yeah, that's pretty good. You can see the prices there. And then finally your legendaries. So your legendaries start at just under $5, $4.95 for Korjak. all the way up to the most expensive being Voldemort at 111, Prince Renan at 150. Now Voldemort, you could get a level 2 for 199, but look at the price per card. This is very high compared to where this card has been. This is usually $25 to $35 per card. Very expensive now, hardly any on the market. One max copy, $1,200, $111 a piece. Seems very, very high compared to Prince Renan, which I think is more in line of where it should be. You're looking at about $30 per copy. So the only individual card is 167. Don't pay that. For 150, you could get a level 3, 5 individual cards. So 330 for a max copy. Okay, now let's look at the golds. So your gold commons start at $225. You know, we have seen the floor right at $2, so it's moved up a little bit since then. But, you know, pay attention too to how many cards of these are actually on the market, so not very many. All the way to 1921 for Haunted Spider. Nice thing about the beta ones is they do start at level 4, as opposed to most commons always start at gold foil at level 3. The rares starting at $10, all the way up to 116.32 for Medusa. Your epics start $35 for Defender of Truth, single copy, all the way up to a single copy of Manticore for $391.48, and this is 3 copies. You're looking at $130 per copy for that card. And then finally your legendaries start at $250 for Spirit Miner, going all the way to $2,500 for single copies of Voldemort and Prince Renan. Okay, so that's it for beta. Let's look at the promo cards. So we went through these in part 1. The big price mover is Delwyn, that had been under 20 cents. He's jumped up to 49 cents. The other ones are pretty much in line where they have been over the last month. The rares at 35, Epic at 235, the Red Dragon at 74.44. These are for individual copies, so I would not pay that for an individual copy. I think you can get it a lot cheaper than that, at least where it's been in the past. So just hang tight on that one. And then your 2 legendary cards are each $899 a piece. The only gold foils available, common at $295, the rare at $13.50, and the Red Dragon legendary at $450. Okay, let's move to regular and orb. So this is your entire orb set right here, 11 cards. So you can see here, commons 9 to 11 cents, your rares 23 to 60, your 2 epics 96 cents and 99, and then your 3 legendaries, $6 for the Warlord, $7.37 for Lord of Fire, and $8.99 for Corrupted Pegasus. And yes, if you do buy a pack of orb, you probably are going to get multiple commons in the same pack. And for your gold foils, 9 of the 11 cards are here. The only 2 missing are the epics. There are no gold epics from the set available for sale. See here the commons, 265 to 495. Your couple of your rares, 1075, 1078, and then your 3 legendary cards, 300 for the Lord of Fire, 350 for the Minotaur Warlord, and 700 for Corrupted Pegasus. That is the entire orb set on one page. All right, let's go to Untamed, Corn Reward. So Untamed actually still has a common at a penny. The Wave Runner is 1 cent, then it goes 2 cents and above. All the way up to 78 cents for Failed Summoner. So those are your commons. Your rares start at 5 cents for the Dark Ferryman. We'll take a look at the Archons in a minute because there are Archons in the rare slot. 64 cents for Bortus. So your Archons, you're looking at very affordable for survival mode. If you guys are looking to pick up some Archons, most of these you can see 6 to 11 cents. And then Bortus jumps up to 64 because of the -1 magic. Your Epics start at 21 cents for Thunderbird, all the way up to $1.98 for Shadowy Presence. And then finally your legendary cards, $1.14 for the Ancient Lich. And then the key cards in the set, the Kitty is at $49.99, Llama is at $25, Jotun under $19, Kron at $6.01. All right, and then your gold cards, starting at 56 cents for the commons, all the way up to $2.70 for the Warrior of Peace. Your rares, $2.66 for the Dark Ferryman. Up to $9.65 for the Archon Pyre. So let's take a look at the gold Archons. So they range from $2.90 for Drake of Arnak all the way up to $9.65. So I would say like any of these, you can get, you know, a gold Archon for $5 or less. That's a pretty good deal. This one I think is pretty overvalued. I think usually this is about $250 to $350 card. So is this more than one BCX? No, this is individual copies. So I think that one is a little bit above where it should be. Let's look at the Epics. So now your Epics you're looking at getting close to $15 for the floor, all the way up to $81 for the Headhunter. And then finally your legendary gold start at $65. Key cards, Kron 95. This one I think is a deal. Anyone that's been looking for a gold llama, 115 is pretty low compared to where it's been over the last several months. I would say that is a good deal if you're looking for a very limited Archon from an older set. In comparison, Jotun's 175, Kitty at 265. Okay, so that's Corn Reward. Now let's go with the promo. Not very many promos in the set. You can see the Epic Halfling Alchemist, 63 cents. Chain Golem, 13.12. Mighty Dricken, just under 300. And then the gold foil version of the Alchemist at 35, and the Chain Golem gold foil at 68. Okay, Dice is next. There we go. So your dice cards start 2 to 4 cents for your commons. Your rares, $15 to $3. So Mylord has moved up from being right around $1 to $3. As you can see, the leveled cards, you're looking at 50 to 70 cents a card. That's where it has been. All the individual cards were gone. So you can see someone just came in and listed a bunch of individual cards for $3. So don't pay $3 for a card. Just wait a little bit. He'll be $1 or less again. Epics. So your 3 Epics, 27 to 95 cents. And then finally your legendary cards. The one that jumped out to me was this one, Aganju at 18. Usually he's one of the cheaper ones. So you can see a bunch of individual cards at 18. If you do get one, the max level, you're looking at a little over $4 a card. This seems more realistic. Yeah, definitely don't pay $18 a card for that. Yep, $4 would put him right in here, right where he should be. Most expensive ones are always Epona and Crawlus. Okay, golds. So your gold commons, 54 cents to $1.24. Your rares, which are your Archons, under 3 to $8.55. So, you know, to get a gold Archon, you know, even under $4, you know, these 3 is pretty good, especially one with Magic Reflect. So those are always nice to have. Gold Epics, you can see here, about 18 to 52. And then finally your gold legendaries, there's only 5 for sale out of the set, ranging from 100 to 500 for Poseidon. Okay, that's it for dice. Chaos Legion. Let's look at just the core and reward. You guys know for Chaos Legion, the regular foils are very inexpensive. You know, a penny for about all the commons. Till you start getting to, you know, the top couple are 2 cents, and then Scaffold Hireling is 4 cents. The rares start at 2 cents. So you can see here for the regular and reward cards, starting at 2 cents, all the way to your Archons. Now you're getting 5 to 10 cents, which is just so crazy to see them this cheap. I mean, remember when this card was like $3 a piece? And a lot of these were $1 plus. Yeah, to see them just for pennies now. But, like I said, with survival mode, if you guys want to pick them up, great time to pick up some Archons for survival. Sounds like it's coming back in the not too distant future. Epics starting at 10 cents. Up to 25 cents for Hunter Jarks. And then finally your legendaries. So the floor for legendaries is still holding above 50 cents a piece. And your most expensive is $3.25. So we've actually got a Chaos Legion legendary card above $3. $3.25 for Immortalis. All right, and then what I love looking at for this is the gold foils. So your gold foils are starting at 16 cents for the commons, all the way up to, usually Scavo Hireling's the most expensive at 41 cents. Venari Heatsmith, the reason this is $23, this is a maxed common, and you would think, oh, a maxed common, it should be $6, $7. I agree, yes it should be, but this is the only one on the market, and it's listed for 23. So let's take a look and see how many max level commons we have available for these. So we've only got 1 Disintegrator at 650, got 7 Conjurers at 680, so just a handful. 20 Deceivers though, decent amount of those. But a lot of these, like Gargoyle Lions, 5, 2, 1 Silent Chevi, 1 Morphoid. So even though there's a ton of Chaos Legion packs and cards out there, there's not a whole lot of gold cards on the market. Like I said, that is the entire supply. And now that they mention with buildings that we'll be able to have more than 5 slots available for a building, expect these to disappear in the next couple of months. When people like Level Up Life and Vugtus and Jeff Opens Cards decide, hey, you know, I'm really going to level up these buildings and I've got all these extra slots I can put on my buildings, they're going to start grabbing these things. All right, let's look at the rares now. So your rares, they were what, 76, 78 cents was the floor. Now we're getting close to 85, 90 cents for your cheapest rare. All the way up to the most expensive currently is Curse Windiku at $2. Once again, let's see how many max level copies there are for the rares. Cheapest is 21. I remember the last one I did, I think it was 17, 18 were your cheapest max gold rares. So the floor on these have moved up. You know, you can see now 21, 22. And look at how many are available. 2, 1, 2. So once these get wiped out, what are the new ones going to be repriced at? And this is it, guys. Look at this. This is the entire list of max copies. There's only 15 different cards. How many total are there? 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 13, 19. There's, what, 24 max gold rares on the market total. That's it, 24 for all of Chaos Legion and all of Chaos Legion rewards. Okay, next for the gold epics, $4. Seems about right. Up to the most expensive being 20 for Dax Paragon. But how many copies is that? Is that a single copy? Yes. Someone's listing a single copy for 20, but there is a level 5 that's going for about, you know, just under $6 a piece. That's more realistic. He's usually a $4 to $5 card. Okay, so these are your gold epics. Now, how many max level cards are there? Wait, what's going on? Hey, wait a minute. Hey, did you take the cards? What? Did you buy them all? You didn't? Do you know who did? Oh, what? A whale. Yeah, of course. Okay, well, somebody came in and wiped out all the max gold epics. Very good move, whoever you were, because now all you have left are 5 max gold lava launchers. This is it, guys. Here's your entire max gold epic market. 1 card. All right. Let's move on to legendaries. Legendary golds. Floor is still $25 up. Most expensive currently, look at this, $159.99 for River Hellendale. And this is for a max copy, so $40 per card. That is the most expensive. So once again, Chaos Legion was so massively overprinted. How many max copies are left? More than I thought. So you've got 14 different cards. Looks like one of all of them, except for Zyvax, has 2 copies. So you've got a total of 15 max gold legendary cards available on the market for Chaos Legion. That is it. Okay, so after this, let's look at the reward cards. So let's start with the regular foil commons. So 5 to 17 cents for the commons. Your rares, 19 cents to $1.74. Your epics, 75 cents to $74.44. This is for a max copy. Individual copy is $1.61. Yeah, that seems about right. And then finally your legendaries. All 12 cards are represented anywhere from $7 to $40. And then the gold foil versions of the rewards, 63 cents to $4.25. Your rares, only 10 of the 12 available. The Mark's Rat is at $4.90 up to $40 for Madcap Magus. Your epics, $15 up to $50. And then finally your legendary cards, only 5 of the 12 cards are even on the market. Anywhere from $89 for Kulu up to $167 for Skok Dusk Blight. Okay, so that's it for the rewards. Let's look at the regular foil promo cards. So we went through the prices in part 1. So you guys can see how many are currently on the market. So decent amount of these cards. The one that jumped out to me was Lux Vega at $200. As you know, over the last few months, it's been right around 100, maybe 110, right in that range. Look at this, $200, but take a look. There are 2 copies at $200, and then look at the next price. It goes from $200 for a Lux Vega to $750. So if you want a Lux Vega, you missed out at 100. Once these 2 are gone, you know, unless someone decides to list it lower, you're looking at $750 for a Lux Vega, and that's not for a gold foil either. That is for a regular foil. Now, looking at the gold foil versions, like I said, we went through the prices in part 1. You can see there's a single copy of Waka gold foil for $1,500 and a single copy of Lux Vega gold for $2,000. All right, and then I don't know why, but one of my favorite sets, even though no one talks about it, is Rift Watchers. So very nice set. Kind of reminds me of the new set coming out. You know, it's a mini set, very small, 43 cards. Actually, some of the commons are a little bit pricey. I mean, you would think commons, you know, 1 to 3 cents, but you've got the Night Ghoul at 7, you've got Junker at 15. And then for your rares, actually a couple decent rares. Queen of Crows at 21, Sea Stalker at 41 cents for a rare. Your epic slot, which are all Archons, 17 cents for Dallin, up to 61 cents for Ilthane. And then finally your legendaries, and look at the prices of the legendaries. So there's only 12 in the set. 4 of them are kind of the lower end. You're looking at under $1.50 for these 4. But the rest of them are $4 and up. And packs are going for, I believe, 93 cents in part 1. So if you pull a legendary out of Rift Watchers, odds are you're going to do pretty well. You know, you're going to get basically a $5 to $10 card, for the most part. You've got a chance of getting the low end ones, but odds are good you're gonna do very, very well if you hit a legendary card out of Rift Watchers. So, like the set, I think the reason it didn't do as well as it could have. Back then it was priced, I believe, only in SPS. SPS was a lot higher than it is now. People didn't want to part with their SPS, so there was that whole deal. I think if it had also been priced, a little bit differently, it might have sold well, but still, there are over 100,000 packs of this still available. So we'll see. We'll see what it does in the future. But now, with it being 90 some cents a pack, I think that is not a bad price for what you can possibly get out of it. Then your gold foils, let's see how these compared to Chaos Legion. So your gold foil commons, 20 to 34 cents. Pretty much the same, slightly higher than Chaos. Your rares, 85 cents. That's about the same starting point, up to 215. Your epics, 470 to 22. Is this for an individual? Nope, this is for level 4. So individual copies, you're looking at about close to $6. That seems about right. Fernheart, you're looking at, close to $6 a card. So $4 to $6 for a gold epic. That's pretty much in line for where they should be. And then the gold legendaries, you're looking at $27 and up to $100 for C-Rec. And once again, only 9 of the 12 cards even have a gold foil legendary for sale. Alright, so that is it for Rift Watchers. We'll do Foundations later. Let's go now to Rebellion. So Rebellion Core. Looking at the regular foil commons. Up to 49 cents for some of the dual Archons. Your rares starting at 8-9 cents. All the way up to 98 cents for Silver Blade Fighter. Your epics starting at 18 cents up to 2.49 for Captain Fellblade. Some very good epics in this set. And then your legendaries start at $1.20 all the way up to 58.49 for Tofu. And we went through all the prices in part 1. Just kind of let you guys take a look and see how many of these are on the market currently. Congrats to my wife, Fauna Mystica. She was selling her foundation packs. She never opens them, so she had a bunch of them. She listed them for sale over the last couple weeks, built up a nice little pile of DEC, and was able to turn those foundation packs into a Riskel Draft Legendary Summoner. So if you guys play Foundation, play Frontier, don't open your packs, just let them build, or just sell them as you get them day by day. Just let that DEC build up, and if you are playing in Modern, you can pick up a legend. Look at this. You can pick up some legendary cards for a couple, $3, or save it up and get yourself a legendary summoner, legendary Archon without any cash out of pocket. Okay, let's look at the gold foils. So gold foil commons start at 40 cents, up to $5.99 for Zetica. And then your rares start at, there's this one at 86 cents, and then quickly they go to $1 for gold rare. Up to $7.95 for Moxian Rebel. Epics start at $3.12 and then quickly go to $4. All the way up to $14.40 for the Scion. And then finally your gold legendaries start at $22.12 for Chaos Golem. All the way up to Venka being at $2.99, the most expensive. Once again, went through the prices in part 1, but just look at how few of these are on the market. Just a handful of each of these cards. So there's 6 or less of each gold foil on the marketplace. So not a lot of Rebellion on the market. Okay, so we went through all the core. Let's go through the reward cards now. So these are the ones that seem like we had forever before we got the new ones. So 4 to 9 cents for your commons, 14 cents to 37 cents for the rare, 90 cents to $1.47 for Halfling Refugee. Just fantastic epics all across the board. And then your legendaries, 372 to 790. And then the gold foil versions of these, your commons, you're going $1.22 to $2.45. Your rares, $3.49 for the leopard, up to $8.75 for the legionary. Your gold epics, $17.99 up to $63 for my favorite, the weaver. And then no legendary golds. Okay, let's look at the promo cards. So once again, we also looked at promo cards. We went through all these one by one in part one, just to get an idea of how many are on the market. So these are your regular foils. Almost all of these are the rares and legendaries. So you can see there are two Heloise the Hollow on the marketplace. One for $1,300 and the other for $12,870. Woody really doesn't want to sell that card. He's just kind of showing off there. He's like, yep, look what I got. And will we ever see a gold foil Rick Launeman on the marketplace? I'm beginning to doubt it. I have not seen one in months. So these are all the gold foils. I need to pick up some of these. Gold foil Mana Wardens for $1. Okay, ignore that, guys. Don't pay any attention to that. I got stuff to do after I'm done with the video. Okay, so that is it for the promos for Rebellion. Okay, now Conclave Arcana. Let's go through the core. So starting at 2 cents. All the way to this one has jumped up. Remember, it used to be these two were the top two. 8, 9, 10 cents. Now we've got Caravan Guard at 17. People are realizing that's a fantastic card. So that common is shot up in price. The rares, looking at 10 cents up to, let's see how the Archons are doing. So the top card now is not Bella. It's Razzie at $1.43. Kalia is at $1.22. Bella at $1.14. Fifth at $1.11. Kavor 77 cents and Gorgug at 59 cents. Now, one thing to point out too, with DEC being under peg at what, 62, 63 cents, if you get one of those starter packs where you're just getting a rare and 4 commons, you're not spending $1, you're spending 60 some cents. So it makes it a lot more attractive to pick those up, because if you can pick up any of these, you're ahead. And even if you get, a lower one, one that's 20 or 15 cents or whatever, you're not really losing that much. And especially if you can get super lucky. I think you can get 2 rares per pack. It doesn't happen very often, but still, I think those starter packs are still, a pretty good value for what you actually spend. So you're not spending $1, you're spending 60 some cents. Plus they're great to give away too, especially to new players. Let's see, epics. So epics are starting at 26 cents up to 68. And then finally your legendaries start at 256 up to 1239 for Captain Frankie. So there's are your legendaries. So now let's look at the gold foil versions. So looking at 29 cents for common, up to 74 cents. There he is, that Caravan Guard. So I love getting a gold foil of him. For my $10 accounts, I only need one, 74 cents, and boom, he's got that triage. Rares, $1.31 to start, up to $12.73. So these have come down in price too. Remember when these are all $10 plus. So Razzie is still at $12.73, but you can get a Bella at just over $8. And this one at just under 8, so not horrible, but yeah, they are just not dropping like people thought they would. Your epics start at right around $4.50 and up to $6 for Blazebeard Merc. And then finally your legendaries, Zargrul at $33. Up to, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that name, the Minotaur guy, for 158. Where do they come up with these names? I think what they do is they take a Scrabble bag, You know, you ever play Scrabble and you reach in the bag and you grab a bunch of letters and you got to make a word out of it? I think they do that. They just grab a handful of letters, they throw it down, and it's like, oh, this is what I came up with. Amagla Hemlig. Yeah, that's a good thing. Let's call a card that. All right. So now let's look at the black foil cards. So these, of course, are all max level. You're starting at $53 up to $120. Beautiful cards. Man, the art team just did so good with it. I love the black foils. Rares, 150 to 450. Look how good the Archons look in black foil. Your epics, there's 3 available here. And then legendaries, there's actually a couple of these for sale. I think earlier in the day when I first looked at this, there was 3 available, and now there's only 2, so someone picked up one of them. So those are your black foil. Now your gold arcane, these are all the gold arcane. So if we break it down by rarity, most of them are your commons, $40 to 205. Rare, there's just the platypus for $79. 2 epics, Ferris Brewer and Songale. No legendary. And then your black arcane, there's just these 3. The 2 commons, and then the 1 rare Archon for $2,500. Okay, so that's the core. Let's go to the reward cards. So these are our current reward cards that we are getting out of chests and draws. So 2 to 3 cents for common, seems about right. Your rares, 8 to 17 cents. Your epics, 50 cents to $1.69. And then your legendaries, $3.49 to, oh, look at this one, 23. Is that for, oh, that's for an individual copy. Probably because it's the only one on the market. Seeing if you can get $23. Okay, so that's the regular foil. Now we've got the gold versions, 29 to 49 cents. The rares, 60 cents to 229. You can see there's a decent amount of these on the market. Now, even for the epics, you know, you got 7 to 13. That's not bad for the gold foils, especially as limited as they are. And then a gold legendaries, $28 to $79. You know, a couple of each of these for sale. Now we go from the gold to the black. So now we're getting into max level cards. You know, 30 to 130 for a common. 50 to 1,000 for a rare. Epics, 140 to 150. And then finally, legendary, 390 and 1,000. So now we go to the gold variants, the gold arcane. So once again, most of them are common, 1650 to 198. You've got 6 of the rares from $23 to $288. Your epics, there's only 1 available for sale for $63. Seems like a pretty good deal. You know, you got rares going for up to $288. $63 for an epic seems a little low. And then your legendary, 184 to 1,200. And then finally, the rarest of the rare, the black arcane. Commons, 80 to 288. Your rares, 108 to 500. Your epics, there are a couple epics. And then finally, there is a gold arcane. Look at this, gold arcane legendary for 2,000. And this is a 1 of 1. So congrats to Thomas. He has a 1 of 1 card. Okay, so that's it for the reward. We didn't do the promos yet, did we? I don't think we did. Well, so we went through the promos in part 1. So these are the only variants of the pickle. The regular foil and the gold foil. So none of the other varieties are for sale. I think Clay bought them all. The rares, 39 cents for the Skinwalker, $6.70 for the gold. No other versions available. For the epic, got Tososhi, $2.30, $32 for the gold, $1.89 for the gold arcane. Cloveria, $4.98 for the regular foil, just under $33 for the gold. And then your legendary, we've got Dargatum at 17. Grammel came up from about 11 bucks to 20 this week. Archmage Yevonus is just over 50. Gold Grammel at 90. Gold Dargatum, so glad I got him, at 250. Black Grammel the Hunger, 1200. Look at this. Oh, this is new. I don't think I had this in part 1. 2500 for Archmage Yevonus Gold. So the only one on the market, says 5 in circulation. So that's how quickly the market can change. That card was not listed when I was doing part 1. And what is left? Extra. So let's go through extra. So once again, these we did in part 1. So these are the extra cards that you can pull out of chess. Luckiest long shot we get for failing to win a card in Modern. Of course, you've got the Arena Fanatic for the streamers. So you can see the prices here, how many are currently in circulation. These are for the regular foils. For your gold foil, there's a gold foil Arena Fanatic, 776. Then these are the jackpot cards that are available. Black foil, the only black foil is Runekeeper for 1,000. Gold Arcane, there's no Gold Arcane. And Black Arcane, we do have a couple for sale. Look at this. Black Arcane, common card, numbered out of 10. This is number 5 of 10. And then the other is the Epic. And this is number 3 of 3. So there's only 3 of these cards in existence. One of them is for $1,900. All right. So what is left? So we've got the land cards. So these are all the land cards currently available. Went through the prices in part 1. As you can see, a decent number of all these on the marketplace. A really high number of the Epic compared to the other two. 200. Only 5 of the legendary. There are some other versions pulled. The golds. You can see here gold common for 60, gold rare for 69.90, gold epic for 349. None of the other variants. Some have been pulled, but none are available on the market. And then finally, to wrap up the video, we're going to go through foundations. So frontier mode. So as you guys know, the common cards, a penny or two. You know, they're so plentiful. The rares, once again, the only ones that are worth a little bit are your Archons. So your Archons are going from 5 to 16 cents. The Epics, of course, the main two are the ones in water. 21 cents for Assel and 39 for Saltwater Mage. And then your legendary cards, Mystic Scale Weaver is back just barely over $1, and the other ones are very, very affordable. And then looking at the golds, so for me, when I'm leveling up Frontier, I look for the golds because it takes so fewer golds to level than a regular foil. So you only need 5 of these to max one out. So if you could pick one up for 3 cents, 15 cents, you got a max common rather than buying the individual regular foils. So that is the route I tend to go. Same thing with the rares. Most of the rares are pretty cheap. So you're looking at 12 cents to $1.50. You only need 4 of these to max one out. So a lot of these you can max out for under $1. Your epics, golds, these moved up in price a month ago. So, you've got a little bit of value here. Some of the cards above $1. The Howlers at $2, Glimmermancers at $2.45, and of course the key epic Saltwater Mage at $4.08. And then finally your legendary cards, Scale Weaver and Musketeer usually lead the pack. They're both at $5.50. Root has moved up to $5. And then looking at the different versions, so your common black foil cards, $5 to $16. Your rares start at $5.30 up to $39.99 for one of the Archons. Your epics, $13 to $59.95. And legendaries, there's 3 of them for sale, $50 to $150. Next, looking at the gold variants, gold commons, looking $6 to $80. The rares 450 to 35. Actually, this is one that I'm trying to sell on one of my $10 accounts. I got lucky and pulled it. I've never used that card. It's like if I can sell the card, I will take those funds and grow the account. So we'll see if that card sells or if I get an offer. No epics for gold arcane and no legendaries. And then finally the black arcane. These are the only black arcanes for sale. So there's 4 commons. You can see all individual copies. The rares, there's 4 of the rares for sale. The epics, beautiful saltwater mage. How limited is that again? To 5. So there's only 5 of each of the epic. And then I don't think there's any legendaries. No. All right, so the last thing to go through is the newest edition, which are the the jackpot cards for Foundation. So for the regular foil cards, the common, which is limited to I think 35,000, these things are hard to pull. I've been trying on my 3 accounts for days, have not gotten any of these yet. So earlier today, this card was down to 39 cents when I did part 1. Now it's back to 69 cents, $1.62 for the rare, $3.46 for the epic, and $50 for the legendary. Gold versions, the rare is actually cheaper than the common. The rare is at $5.50. The common is at $6. I don't think there's any other versions available. Nope, that is it. So we get there. I think we got there. I think we made it. I think we made it to the end. So we've gone through the entire card market, all the different varieties and variants. Exciting times in Splinterlands. Takeaways from this week. Once again, Chaos Legion. The gold cards continue to dry up. Like I said, especially the max level. So if you're looking at max level cards for land, once again, you know, well, look at epics. Let's go back to what we had earlier. So for Chaos Legion Core and the reward, that's it. Just 1 epic. So Chaos Legion Golds continue to dry up. Jackpot cards for Foundation. Be curious to see where these things go in the future. I think these cards are going to slowly drop in value, but they are so hard to pull. They're going to, I think, hold their value for at least a couple of months before, you know, they start becoming a little more plentiful. But remember, once again, you need 60 of these just to max out 1 card. So they'll hold their value for a little bit, I think longer than people think. And then finally, keeping my eye on the land cards, especially now that we know you're going to have more than 5 slots on your buildings. You know, there's no reason why you wouldn't want to. If you get an extra slot, you know, pick up a few of these just to be able to get, you know, a little bit of bonus. You know, the knock against these cards were, hey, if they're not max level and I've got a lower level card, I really don't want to waste one of the 5 slots putting this thing on land. Now you don't have to worry about it as much. You can get it to level 3, get a little bit of a boost, and hey, you don't even need to use a power core. So I expect these cards to trend up in the not too distant future as we get closer to buildings. So that's it for this edition, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Like I mentioned in part 1 too, I'm starting a membership through Buy Me a Coffee. Got a couple members already. What I plan on doing with that is, as I get more and more members, going to have more giveaways throughout the months. You know, when I do Chaos Legion openings or other openings, I'm going to give some of the cards away to channel members. Eventually, you guys are going to get first access at my videos, especially my Market Watch, which is important because you guys will get the news before everyone else. If you are a $4 member, which is the silver tier, I am also offering once a month. Ask me any question about Splinterlands, anything you want me to do a video on, and I will do an in-depth video on the Splinterlands topic of your choice, specifically just for you. So be sure to check that out. And if you don't want to be a monthly member, you can always just do a one-time donation. Anything helps me out and helps me grow this channel. So I appreciate all the support. Thank you guys so much. Excited for 2026. You know, there's so much going on. You guys know I'm big on PvE mode, so excited to see the single player campaigns come out. Super excited for buildings and land, getting that going. And speaking of land, tomorrow, Monday, I have off. I will be doing another video for you guys on land, and it's going to be kind of finding your land balance with your plot. So stay tuned for that tomorrow. So lots coming up in Splinterlands, lots coming up on this channel. I'm going to continue to grow and expand and give you guys more content that you want. So definitely know in the comments if there's anything specifically you would like me to cover. And are you as excited for Splinterlands as I am in 2026? I hope so. So guys, stay the course, keep on forging. And are we going to have fun? Yeah, we're going to have fun this year. Take care.